78th contact. Wednesday the 6th of July 1977, 1500 hours, 19 minutes.
I'm glad you're still coming. I almost thought you'd forgotten.
Then you think timidly. This is Alina. She wanted to see you once in matterliness.
Thank you, Minara. May you be welcome here, Alina. I hope you are not disappointed in me. You know, Minara most certainly exaggerates when she talks about me.
You should not say that.
That is my opinion as well. You are too modest. But I am pleased with your welcome words, and I offer you my thanks for them. You reside at a very nice place here, and surely you are happy about it.
Certainly, and thank you very much for yours. It perfectly matches your likable appearance. But may I ask where your home is, because that always interests me and everyone else very much.
I come from the planet Saturn, which is about 1/3 smaller than your home planet. Seen from Earth, Saturn is situated in the constellation of Lyra, 157.3 million kilometers away from the Sun, Mel. However, the planets are not recognizable from the Earth with its still very underdeveloped technology, because they are in another space-time level.
I can imagine that. Thank you for your information. But now, Minara telepathically informed me early in the morning that I had to make sure that nobody was to be present here in the center today. I have arranged that, but what is the reason for it?
The promise made by me regarding the beam pistol is to be kept today. You can shoot at a target according to your will, which is to be a memento for you and your group members, just as you wished for.
Ah, fine. Doing so, will I be able to take pictures of the gun?
We have no objection to this if the images are not taken too close.
Of course. Then can perhaps Alina, I wonder if I can remember the name? Hold the weapon in her hand.
I will gladly do that, but you must not capture my face in the picture. No more than my arm must be shown.
That is already allowed and certainly enough. Therefore at least one can see your delicate and small white hand. How tall are you anyway? Certainly no more than 1.5 meters.
148 centimeters according to your measurements.
You should be careful when taking photographs that Alina's face is really not being exposed as well. But if it should happen nevertheless unintentionally, then you should destroy the films or make the face on it unrecognizable.
I can even make you a promise on that. Should I film Elena's face as well, which I hope I will not, then I will cut it out of the negatives. You can absolutely count on it.
But you cannot allow anyone to see them, pictures, beforehand.
You are extremely cautious, but I will comply with your wish in any case.
Your word is enough for me as already demonstrated.
You have a lot of trust, girl.
I would not give it to any other Earth human being in this form.
A very great and far-reaching word.
Which however includes the pure truth. But now see this weapon here. This is a similar one to the one with which you once irradiated the young trees and the fair trees. This one, however, is much older than that one. Here, the direction finder shows you the target very accurately through this magnifying scope so that you can hit a single needle of a fir tree very accurately over a distance of several kilometers, which you can then test on a tree over there on the hill. The tubular sight scope brings the target as close to you as if it were directly in front of the weapon. In contrast to that, this is a very outdated operating apparatus, which is similar to that of your explosive firearms. To send out the radiation you must pull back with your index finger, just as it was the case with my weapon. These two transparent containers on the top here contain two different elements which are fundamentally necessary for the creation of the type of radiation. Used coupled, they produce/create a form of laser beam still unknown to you, which emits a very strong destructive swinging wave, which, however, only destroys a few artificial forms of matter, such as your film material, so you must not use the weapon when taking photographs. If the front and rear element containers are coupled by a pressure on this point, then a combustion radiation builds up, which within fractions of a second and up to a distance of 37.2 km dissolves everything into nothing, without leaving any traces of ash. I understand that only the things surrounding the target char and remain. If the front container alone is activated by further pressure on this point, then only a tranquilizing effect occurs, which is used exclusively for self-defense purposes, while the combustion radiation usually serves only work purposes or total elimination purposes, but in extreme cases if necessary, can also be used, for example, to damage an enemy vehicle or flying object in such a way that it becomes unable to maneuver and thus ineffective. This also applies to weapons, etc. For a very long time now, about 600 years, these forms of weapons are no longer used, because our technology has since developed much better. The newest weapon of this type has been reduced to a third of this size, and the function of actuation, the radiation trigger mechanism, has fundamentally changed. Thus, the operation of the newest weapons is individually adapted to its carrier, wherethrough a weapon can exclusively be used only by the owner. The actuation of the trigger is now only carried out on a purely mental basis, which is why the brainwave pattern is programmed into the memory of the trigger mechanism of the weapon. That is that of the owner. If the weapon is to become the property of another owner for any reason, it must be newly programmed.
That is very interesting, but I do not understand very much about these things, as you know. But it does not matter and is not relevant. I am just a little surprised because you speak of an owner of such weapons. Can you explain more of this to me?
I designate the bearers of such weapons as the owner, because this is according to your sense, and because the weapon is individually tailored to the carrier.
Thank you, I understand. But now a different question, do you know when Semisa will finally return?
Your senses are filled with longing for her, which I feel from your swinging waves. She will be here in the near future, in a few days already.
Thank you, girl, that makes me very happy. But, now tell me why all the dogs here and also the chickens do not behave crazy, because usually they always do when there is a beam ship nearby. Today, however, the animals behave completely normally, if I exclude the mother dog Anita. Why is that?
The young dogs are very adorable. Your question has to be answered to the effect that my ship is not a beam ship, but a flying apparatus with a compaction aggregate that can fly by densification and the highly compressed emission of atmospheric gases. This does not agitate the animals, whereas with the beam ships which emit radiation and swinging waves, the animals get excited, become restless and even run away.
Aha! And with what propulsion do you fly in space?
My ship, which I currently own, is not capable of space flight.
Oh, I see. But at least you can screen it from sight. Where did you leave it anyway?
It floats directly here above this place, 27 meters high, and we have known the technology of shielding for 42,983 years. But now you should choose an object on which you want to direct the beam of the weapon. Also, you should take some pictures.
Okay, I almost forgot. Perhaps you will photograph me too, when I hold the beam pistol in my hand? And can I make a short film of it?
I promised you that months ago, however I only understand how to use a photo camera, but not a film apparatus.
That is not a problem. I can just let the film camera run automatically, so you do not have to do anything at all.
Then I'm relieved. But now begin with your project.
Only instructions concerning filming and photographing follow.
Then we have finished this. Very many and heartfelt thanks to both of you.
It was a great joy to be able to assist you.
This joy is also on my side.
You're just nice and kind, and I really don't know what to answer.
Your words are of great honesty, and for me they are the most loving answer, but at the same time also a hitherto unknown to me and very deep-reaching thanks. Even though you cannot speak in words as you would like to, I understand the swinging waves of your feelings, and they make your words very clear to me.
Alina speaks in my sense.
You are true flower gardeners.
I cannot understand the sense of your words. What is it supposed to mean?
I will explain this in depth later.
Aha, you want to bind bunches of flowers, girl?
Perhaps, but then I'll do it with a lot of love.
Surely all of you are incurable. What do you actually think of our building in our area here?
You have worked very hard and very much here and have changed many things, so all of you have to be complimented. Without your addition, however, everything would have been doomed to failure. That is what we have all become aware of in the meantime, which is why we find that we have wrongly reproved you. Additionally, everything has burdened you very much and still does today, which makes us wonder how you were able to overcome everything nevertheless. The lack of understanding of the craftsmanship and the lack of understanding of the urgency of the work to be done by many of your co-workers has also led to you showing yourself from a side which in no wise anyone is accustomed to from you. We, too, have thought a great deal about this and first thought that you were doing wrong to your co-workers. However, the time and records of our telemetry apparatuses have since proved to us that your mode of behavior alone was the right one and that you had no other option and were left with no other choice in your dealings with your co-workers.
I suppose you're talking about how I used to yell like a madman?
Of course, this is what I am talking about, and I want to express here what we all feel. If you had not acted in this form, success would have stayed away, and on the other hand the practice of the past months has proved to us that only you truly understand so much of the manual activities carried out that through your cooperation and your instructions everything could be made or finished in the right measure and in the right form. We all know well that you have spent decades only to learn all sorts of knowledge and also craftsmanship. But how enormous your ability and knowledge, especially in the manual activities, are, that was unknown to most of us. Probably only Samasa may indeed have very accurate knowledge about this.
Well, your flower garden honors me, girl. But it is certainly not appropriate, because in the end I had enough time to learn everything.
Your time for that was very short, you know that very well. Because you always had to learn everything in a hurry and still retain it for later times. So it was not in the least as easy for you to learn everything as it is usually the case on Earth with a vocational training, because there are about 3 years of apprenticeship each time, of which you only had 2 to 3 months, or even only a few short weeks on average.
It's not as bad as all that, because in the end I have a head for thinking. On the other hand, it is the case with our group that practically none of our people ever had to do such work before as it has become necessary here in the center, and how they also have performed it here. Although some of these works were sometimes carried out rather unwillingly by individuals, they were nevertheless carried out. That is definitely worth a compliment to all of them. Many have really done their best and worked as hard as they have probably never done hitherto in their lives before. Even if there was a problem here and there, and they often had to be quite unfriendly, they have nevertheless accomplished true magnificent effort apart from about 1 or 2.
That is right, and for that they too should be given thanks by all of us. With this, some deserve very special thanks, others however less, such as those who kept themselves away from the arising work by telling untruths, or did not spend half their abilities on work as they really could have when they were present. But there are other things to mention which are not right. For example, that an examination by a telemeter apparatus has shown that you have been financially damaged for a long time, because you were too trusting in this respect. But also other negative things that were directed against you have taken place, as well as bad words and speeches and so forth directed against you, etc., especially in connection with the fact that, in many things, you had to teach a member of your group in a harsher language than you would like. But since this member is to bear the responsibility for many things, but is not yet accustomed to this, only this form of instruction remains possible for you. You know the further circumstances in this regard very well yourself.
Of course. And you do not have to mention any names either, because I know exactly what is being said and by whom. Often everything is told to me again, and very often I also pick up uncontrolled thoughts. But that doesn't bother me anymore, because I know damn well what I have to do and what it's all about, even if several others still don't seem to know about it and haven't become clear about it.
With this you have spoken a true word, but this situation will also change. In any case, please extend our greatest thanks to all for their accomplished work. But please also suggest to various persons that they should moderate themselves in certain things, and that no zeal is achieved if, through a surging aggression, one downs the tools and walks away from the workplace. The chaff shall be separated from the wheat, but every one of them shall become clear whether he or she is the chaff or the wheat.
I had better let everyone read about it in the report.
It is your wish. But it is important that they perceive, comprehend and logically follow my words and act accordingly.
Only time will tell.
Then, I have finished my mission for this time. On the other hand, we have to leave, because as my device transmits to me, thoughts are directed here, after which someone will arrive here in the next 2 minutes. We must therefore go and also remove the protective cover that radiates around the center. Goodbye.
Ah, that must be Jacobus. He was supposed to go and get some cement, but I feel he did not get any. Farewell then, girls, and come again soon, and I send my heartfelt greetings to all the others as well.
This shall also be so from our side. Live in peace and also convey my feeling of love to all group members.
Bye together, and ma.
Unfortunately, I could not finish my sentence, because suddenly the two girls just simply disappeared, and only half a minute later suddenly a loud tractor noise sounded from the access road and Jacobus appeared with his vehicle, with tractor and trailer, but without cement because the master builder had gone on holiday.